Well, we've made it down to the attic floor level. Well, on one side, anyway. Um, a lot of brick coming out of here. This is where I'm stopping with the shell. I may go down one more course, but that might be it. And then these divider walls are going to continue to go down. And I'm going to go down, I suppose, as much as I can go with them. Just down to that tapered brickwork down there, which is the top of the apex room. You can see on this side. It's tapering that way, and this side tapers that way. So that's the very peak of that apex room. And I think there's actually some brickwork missing down there. So I'm gonna take it down. I don't know how far that is. To there, and then maybe beyond on the sides and beyond on this one a little bit. And that's when I'm gonna start cleaning up this brickwork and doing some work on it. Yeah, it's pretty intricate. You never really know what you're gonna get into in this one, or on projects like this. I can see right there. There's if you look there, there's something. Maybe that might be where the thimble comes through the wall upstairs. Someone punched out some brick, and there's a thimble there. The brickwork getting down here is getting pretty strong. This wall here, well, it doesn't look like much. It actually is pretty strong, and that one's probably the hardest one to rip down. And probably because this one is, it's been leaking, I guess, for a while, and this one's kind of like, beyond on that side, so maybe it's been the driest. This brickwork down here, when I get my, you can see it, when I get my jackhammer into it, it's called, I always call it like, it's chewy. It feels chewy, and I realize that doesn't make sense, but that's what I've always kind of said in my head. It feels chewy when you put your jackhammer into it, and it doesn't just blow apart, but it's like, it's not sticky, but when you're jackhammering something, you need resistance for the jackhammer to work. Otherwise, it just kind of goes in and does not much. So I call it chewy, like like a cookie. If a cookie was chewy, that's kind of how that would feel with the jackhammer. And this section over here would feel like, that family member on every time you have a family get together that brings those cookies, and they just snap in your mouth, and you don't have the heart to tell them that nobody wants cookies that snap in your mouth like that. We all want chewy cookies. So, if you learn nothing today, except for that, that's probably the most important thing you need to know from this job is you need, like, if you're going to bake cookies, bake chewy cookies, for crying out loud. Nobody wants hard cookies. And the same thing here. There's just two spots here, and it doesn't really go lower than that. It's just right there. So I think that, like, if they have this coating here, I think that the water was coming in on these corners more, at the ridge, and was coming down this side, and this side was staying saturated more. But also this coating they put on, the Parge coat, was holding the moisture in. You can tell as you pull that stuff off how much more damaged it got after. Obviously they didn't, parge this stuff to chalk. Some of the brickwork was just chalk, and I think that is because this stuff is holding the moisture in more and making those, accelerating the degrading process, I think. And that's why most of it had lost its bond and was peeling off. This is an attic here, so it's not insulated above. This is an environment where it's freezing, so this is subject to freeze thaw too. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going with this, and I'm actually gonna build these divider walls back up from inside. I don't quite know how I'm gonna do it yet, but I'm gonna hang like a marionette, like a puppet on strings, and try to lay block work. I'm not going to try to lay brickwork because it's going to be too tough. There's too many brick to lay, but I'm going to do 4-inch solid block work, and I'll parge the inside of that with some like smoke chamber mix stuff, so it's all nice. That's the plan right now. And you can see actually how big it gets. Look how far this one tapers that way. See how far it just tapers over? Like it shoots way over that way. So it's gonna get bigger, so I'll have more room to work when I get down in there, but it's still tough working on top of your work. And the mason that built this kind of arched this all out, which is cool. Obviously, you know, they knew that the arch was, it's really strong for supporting, and it needed that support coming across, and they needed the room, extra room for these flues. It would have been really hard to come across just with a straight wall there. So you arch it and you can get that chimney to taper way over like that. Yep, that's where we are now. We're gonna go down with these divider walls. I'll go down with some more of this here too, and I suppose I'll just get all of this to the floor level and then start taking the divider walls down. So I got a plan as I go here. As I'm going down with, I got to start formulating a plan based on how it's built now, and based on how I want to build it back up. So it's probably important for me to start taking dimensions of what they have here, so I can replicate it coming back up. And to start, I'm going to start thinking about how I might do that section. So it's arched, right? And it just, that arch came way above the floor. But this is nothing here. There's nothing coming up through here. That was just blocked off, right? So, and then this is nothing here. Same on this side. It's like almost identical, symmetrical, I would say, I guess. And I wonder if I can angle this flue more, you know, because it's just solid. I could build up something off of that and just build it, angle it way over, and do the same thing on this side, angle it way over. That way I can pull this wall in faster, so I can straighten it out and just come up and maybe be square when I come up to this attic floor, so I don't have to deal with that. So I don't have to deal with making this arch and coming up, because I have to get to this spot here, you know, plumb that down, right? And it's going to be somewhere in, well, it might be actually, yeah, it actually might be right here. So I want to try to start square at the attic floor at that spot if I can, make it a little easier on me. So I'm going to start thinking about, as I rip this down, how I can achieve that. And maybe I can't, but that's what I'm going to start thinking about. We're probably, I don't know, close to 4 feet down from this attic floor, right down to that thimble in the bedroom. And gotta go to ways to get down to the main fireplace here. You can just see the damper there. But now I'm down enough where I can actually see these upstairs fireplaces. That's the lintel to it right there. It's a little clogged up. You can see the styrofoam that's blocking off the fireplace upstairs. So that's right there. And then if I swing to this side, the other one's right here as well. So those are 2 upstairs fireplaces, and the apex room, the top of it's right there. See it on this side and that side. And I still don't know where that insulation came from. It was probably blown in from somewhere, but I can see, I mean, you can definitely see the wood now. See that chunk of wood that's just supporting the brickwork here? That comes right through. So there's some wood in there. I don't know if that insulation was blown in from somewhere, or, and you can see wood down lower there as well. Yeah, right there. Or if animals grabbed it from somewhere and brought it into there for nesting, maybe. I do see that hole here in this apex room, which I'm gonna have to fix that because that goes down to the fireplace that's down lower. Oh, I can maybe just see the damper there. Or maybe not. If I put my arm down in there, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. This is the other flue. And you can see, oh, that's the top of the insulation there. That was stuffed at the top of that wood stove fireplace. So the one that we got to redo the inside, you can just see the hole where the pipe had come through. Boy, my camera's having a hard time zooming without getting blurry today. Yep, moving along. So the demo down here is actually, it's a lot tougher now. You can see this mortar is actually, it still has really good adhesion to the brick. And the brick is in actually really good condition too. So, nothing like at the top. And when you consider how old this is and how many fires they've had in here, and that's a chunk right there. So yeah, you can still break it, but it's got good adhesion. It's holding everything together, and it's definitely weaker than it was originally, but it's still, it's holding pretty good, I think. I got to jackhammer everything apart. I can't grab it by hand and pull it, and it's getting tougher just to hammer it. So I've been jackhammering it out. Some of it's tougher than others, but it's actually pretty impressive. 240 years old. It's kind of hard to argue with how it's built. Like these fireplaces are built just so much better than modern fireplaces to last this long, and this one's actually been used. Like even modern fireplaces don't get used hardly ever, maybe at Christmas or Thanksgiving, but these ones, people actually had to use them to live. Like generations and generations of people survived the winter by using these fireplaces. Maybe not for the last 40 or 50 years, but for the first 150 years of this fireplace, I'm sure it was being used all the time. So, and to be in this great condition for being used as much as it has, think of how many cord of wood they would have burned in this every year. Probably 20 cord of wood through the winter just to heat your house with the fireplaces, and it's still in actually really good shape. Well, I guess it did its job. It's pretty clean on the inside. A little leakage around the nose. But all in all, that thing's pretty disgusting. Okay, we're finishing up day 2 of the demo, and this is where I'm gonna leave it. I got to brainstorm on how I'm gonna approach this. I still don't quite know. I know that this space here is big enough for me to go down in and do all the work I need to do inside of there. So I don't really have to get lower with this divider wall. But as you can see, we're at the very top course of that apex room is right there. That's a header course going across, and that basically just stitches those two walls together at the top. I don't really want to get into that because they're so cool, and I'd rather just keep it all original. And the fireplaces for the upstairs, I'm already there on both of them, really. That is the top course of the firebox right there. You can actually see the lintel in front of it. And it's pretty much the same on this side here, where you can see all that insulation on that side. That's just in the other fireplace is right there. Yeah, see it? So you can see the lintel and the top of that firebox. So we're right there. That insulation here is, I've been digging it out. I think that's just been, maybe they've been stealing it from the insulation that was stuffed above the fireplaces to keep the draft out over the years, and just it's been used for nesting right there by mice or something, I guess. Anyhow, yeah, there's a lot of thinking and planning to do to make all this work out. So I don't think I'm going to remove too much more, but there's a lot of thinking and strategy involved now. This is the morning of day 3 of the demo. So I was just vacuumed in here and taking a few more brick down just to see what we're looking at. It's nice to kind of start cleaning stuff up. And okay, so we're down to the top of this fireplace. This is one of the bedroom fireplaces upstairs. And now I'm just gonna see how, I'll have to probably take out a little bit more brick. I'm gonna try to get a damper in here. So I've got I've ordered some Rumford style dampers, and I'm gonna try to retrofit one in here. The Rumford dampers have the nice gasketed seal on it. So I'll have to do some brickwork here and make sure that damper is gonna work out for this opening. So you can see it's got a pretty small throat. And the same with this one over here. Really, it's got a narrow throat. And we're going to retrofit a damper into this one as well. And I do have one for the downstairs one. For, what is this fireplace right here? I believe this one, yeah. I actually don't quite remember right now, but yeah, I think just for that one. And that one's already got a damper on it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to retrofit it or not. So yeah, so I'm just trying to clean this up and get a plan going. I know that these holes, this one, and this one, do nothing. So I can pretty much cap those over and get something fresh to work off of. So, as I go down, I'm kind of coming up with new ideas, and then I'm, finding out reasons why those ideas won't work, and I'm coming up with new ideas. And but right now, my plan is to, probably build a form and just kind of cap this with concrete. Some rebar, some concrete, and I have a nice flat surface to work off of. These will be capped off. Obviously, there's wood there. This was used, they used to use masonry as, carrying beams, or to support some of the carrying beams. So that beam right there is probably some kind of load-bearing structure in the house. And you can see it's black in this one here. So something was venting in this one. And it might be just this fireplace failed. That divider wall failed, and it started venting into this chase here, and that's why it's all black, because this was all blocked off, I think, right? I don't know, but I'm gonna finish cleaning these holes out and get to the bottom of this. You can see that this fireplace here is all clogged up right there, so I gotta get my vacuum down there, start sucking out that stuff, and just, got all these little crevices and holes, and I keep looking, trying to find something cool. Like anything in here? What's down there? Anything? I don't think so. One day I'm going to open one of these things up and find something cool. And I'm going to get down in there and clean that out. Oh, look at this. We got okay, this is the apex. The apex room is right behind this wall where my light's shining. But I got a thimble that's right there. That doesn't make a lot of sense. That goes into the apex room, or it comes out of the apex room. I don't know. You see that metal thimble? Maybe you can't see it, but I can see it. Yeah, right there. So I'm getting ready to get down in here and clean this out. Looks like I'll pull that divider wall out right there. That separates the beehive oven. I'll pull that out because it's all worn anyway. I'll smooth parge all that stuff, and then I'll build that divider wall back up. I might even build it a little higher than what they left it there. Um, and yeah, I don't know. A lot of brainstorming here. Might not get a lot done today, but you know, coming up with good ideas is important too. So I have to invest some time into coming up with some good ideas. Okay, so I made my way down into this apex room that we've been talking about from the top. And you can see that there's been quite a bit of work done here. Someone came and re-supported a lot of this brickwork. I think because, these brick here seem to be all really soft brick. Like you can see it's got that orange or light, that yellowish orange kind of color. Those brick are really soft, so if it gets any damp on it, over the years, those ones erode more than the other ones. So someone came and did a lot of brickwork to kind of re-support and cut through some of these planks. You see these wooden planks? I find these wooden planks in these chimneys quite a bit. That one's broken off. That one's broken off. This one came this way. They're thin planks, so it looks like they had a couple of them. But usually, I think what they did with these wooden planks is as they were building the structure, they would use these to stand on, so they would mortar them in and stand on them and just leave them inside. You see another one up above me here. So this is the hole that I found into the back of that main fireplace, the one with the beehive oven. And I said that there was a thimble in there. I pulled the thimble out, and that's just a hole into the smoke chamber. I don't know why that hole was there, except for maybe they wanted some... There's no way that someone had a stove or something in here, so maybe they wanted warmth in here, or they were... I don't know, somebody's idea on trying to smoke something in here, maybe? I have no idea. So... yeah, there's some cracking and stuff in the original brickwork. This is built on top of a piece of... looks like a piece of oak here, maybe. And let me come to this side. Okay, this is looking up. So I got the beehive oven right here, which we already decided some of that would have been rebuilt. But look at this. Look what I found in here. This is actually really cool. These may be some of the people that lived here or some of the people that did work on the chimney. 10/28/93, and then they left us a quarter here. This quarter is from 1990. I wish I could find some of that in the old work. The 240-year-old quarter, that's what I want. Whatever they were using for coins back then. So I'm going to come up here and let's jump up here and look. So this is they've got this brick wall here, okay? And as far as I can tell, this brick wall is not really doing much except for spreading these two walls apart. This wall and this wall. It's just a short section of wall that stops here. And probably they did that because they didn't want this thing to wobble too much as they were building it. They needed to add structure to it. You think it'd be going this way to help support these two walls, because these two walls taper right in. Anyhow, we see that beam right here that we talked about before. That's some kind of support beam for the house. And this is that hole that I could see when I looked down that flue to the downstairs fireplace that we have to redo. This is the hole. You can see it's all eroded right here. This must have had a lot of water sitting here. And obviously these are softer bricks. You can see some of the ones around it. These ones are really that yellowish color, and we know that those ones go first. These ones aren't close to the fire. They're the farthest away from the fire when these brick are fired, and they're just too soft. Really high insulating brick, but just too soft for doing this type of stuff. And then this is inside that fire that flue to that fireplace. Let's take a look in here. If you can see anything. Okay. And then let's look up. Okay. So this has to be repaired, but I wonder if in the process of repairing, oh my word, I can't do this. It's tight in here. In the process of repairing this brickwork, maybe I take out a little bit more, just a little more than I need. And then it will give me access to clean up that flue in there and parge that whole flue up so it's nice and new. And then I could do it up here, and then maybe I could do it lower a little bit. And it might include, I might have to take some of these old plank out. We have another mouse nest right here. Nice and warm for the winter in here. Yeah, I could do that. Maybe take out, this brick wall doesn't even need to be here. It's just, it's doing nothing. They used it to put some plank in to stand on and used it to give this structure. This old mortar didn't set up like new mortar did. It takes forever for it to set up. So it's not like it just sets up overnight. You know, it sets up through carbonation. I think carbonation takes a long time. It's not a hydraulic mortar. It's all quicklime mortar, and the only way it sets up is by absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and so that can take, you know, it really does actually take years for it to come to its complete strength. But it doesn't solidify right away. It would probably take days and weeks. So, but they wanted to keep building, and they got to add some extra walls to support as they go. Yeah, I don't know. And so that fireplace is right behind here, somewhere. Right here, right? No, this must be the back wall to that main fireplace there. And then if I opened it up here, I would be into the flue system again. Oh, that hole's right there. Okay, so we're right there. I could open it up here, and then I'd have two spots to clean up the back of that fireplace from. I wonder if I could do that. I don't know. You just gotta plan these things as you go. You can do all the planning ahead of time you want, but then you get into it, and you know, everything changes. Someone came in here and cut all these boards out. Probably they cut them out in like '93 when they came in here to do the work, and they were just using these to stand on. But I think that I think I just figured out that they're too high. I think they were standing on this one, but it's the same width as a brick. So everywhere that there's a board coming out, you see there's two. And it's just the same width as a brick, so I think that's why there's two. There's two here. I just pulled this one out, and there's two up there as well. Okay, now look at this in here. I just crawled in this space underneath the stairs here, and that fireplace is just through on that side. But one of the cool things you notice here is we know that gray mortar is the original mortar because almost the entire chimney's built out of it. But here it's up against the white lime mortar. And I think that what they did is they used this really good white mortar for the faces and the fireplaces, the stuff that showed. And they used this gray stuff for everything else. So obviously they had a special mix to make that white mortar, and they probably changed. It was probably, you know, more expensive to do. They added more. Maybe they added more lime and used a different sand, so it ended up a much whiter mix. But you can see, you know, it's white here on the underside of this, and then it's gray here. Like they just kind of toothed it in using the white mortar and the gray mortar. Okay, so we're just getting set up this morning to start grinding inside the chimney, and this is the very top of the wind tunnel. The fan up here is going to suction all the dust straight out the top of the chimney. Welcome to the wind tunnel. So we've just got this thing set up in a way where we're all plastic off, and I made a little wind tunnel with that massive fan up there. We're gonna see how it does. Hit it. Oh my word. Okay. Now I'll be able to work in here and get all this dust out the top of the chimney like it's supposed to. Hold on. All right, we're gonna try this wind tunnel out. Ready? Now. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm getting ready to grind all this brickwork. I've got my grinder and a diamond cup wheel, and I'm gonna grind all this black off, all the creosote, clean all this stuff up so I can get something to bond to it. We want to be able to get it so we can get some masonry material to stick to it before we start anything. So I'll be in here probably grinding for a couple hours. I'm gonna get down in those holes as far as I can. We're gonna get this fan turned on at the top, and then we're gonna get going. Okay, looks like we got some airflow, and maybe we can start grinding. Let's see how it does. Well, it's definitely suctioning up, but it's still going to get real dusty in here. I'm going to come out covered in dust, that's for sure. Okay, I've got most of the grinding done. Got this brick pretty good. It's pretty much back to bare all the way around up here. And then even though these ones are a much darker color, you know, it's just from the soot staining them over the years, so that's not going to get back to that, you know, red or orange color. I was able to get all the way down into here. I ripped that divider wall out there, just down to a couple brick that are supporting there. Probably have to do a little bit more work to smooth that out down there and clean it up, but it's a good start. It's all going to be vacuumed out, and you can see the big hole that I actually opened up into that apex room where that thimble was. That helped me to work the very back side of that damper. It was really hard to move around down there and grind at the same time, so it was kind of a partial hole, and then I opened it up a little bit more. It had to be repaired anyway. And the same thing with this hole here. This one's got to be repaired anyway, so what I'm going to do is hop in to that apex room, open that hole up a little bit more, and that will allow me to grind on the inside of this flue here to get everything back to decent clean brickwork. And then I'll probably open a hole lower as well, just so I can get this whole flue system cleaned up. That's the only downstairs one I gotta worry about now. This one on this side, it's getting a stainless liner with an insulated stainless liner for the wood stove. So I'm just gonna get what I can reach from here, but down there I'm not gonna worry so much about it. Something really cool and interesting that I learned while doing this. I've never really noticed it before, but I started paying attention when I was grinding. You can look at this brick and tell that, you know, this was pretty soft and easy to grind, right? But the interesting thing was with this divider wall would have come plumb right up here. You can see the color line where it's darker on that side. That was the flue system, right? So the brick on this side is soft, but the second I get into where that flue system was, where it's darker here, these brick get much harder to grind, and it makes a much different sound, and it has a much different feel. You can actually see how much I went in with the grinder here, which is real easy on this side. It's soft, but not so much here. So I think what happened is, initially these brick, they're fired probably on site here out of kilns made of the brick. And they're fired to a certain temperature for a certain amount of days, but kind of what I think happened is these brick actually were still hardening up, like it was still acting like it was being fired while it was in this chimney system. So these brick, while they were that softer kind of color in certain spots, they actually hardened up to much harder than they were originally, because these brick on this side weren't affected by the heat because they were all partitioned off and protected. And obviously in the flue they were subjected to the heat, and they got much harder, which is super interesting. I never considered that would have happened, but really cool to think about. Okay, so I'm down in this apex room, and what I'm going to do is start opening this flue up here. This goes to that downstairs fireplace that I need to grind the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my multi-tool. Multi-tools are really good when you're having to do some repointing with the softer mortar, or if you're toothing out brick. I would have a longer bit here, but this one's a little short, but I didn't think about grabbing a longer one, so I'm gonna have to just deal with it. But what I'm gonna do is just cut this mortar out and start toothing this brickwork. I'm not sure how far back this way I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go, and then this brickwork will step up so it kind of still supports. That side I'm not too worried about. It's this side where I've got to really, rack it back, and then it will support up to, wherever it comes, maybe up to like, somewhere in here. Wherever it wants to go, I'll let it go. And then I'll just have to brick it back in after. So this is the bottom of that plank I showed you from below. This plank is mudded in there, so it gives me a nice little staging area for all my tools. And then looking down, it's the beehive oven. I'm standing where the people had initialed, and then it's another couple feet lower to the ground. I'm gonna open up here, and then I'm gonna go down this way and to the left that way, and get on the other side of this wall and open it up a little lower down there. And I'm not claustrophobic, so I'm used to working in tight spaces like this. I'm not worried that the chimney's gonna collapse on me. I don't even think about that stuff. It doesn't enter into my mind. I know how this is built. I can read it pretty well, and it just doesn't make me nervous at all. So that, and I'm not scared to die, so not a coward. Okay, I've got it all toothed out as much as I can. I'd like to replace that one, but I just can't do that right now because I really need it to support this so it doesn't come down anymore. Yeah, I got it as best I can. I'm pretty happy with that. I think now, let's see. Oh yeah, I'm right in here now, so I'll be able to grind all this and clean this up pretty easily. Geez, yeah, I could reach down to that brick right there, and then I've got just, I don't know, less than 3 feet to the fireplace. So after thinking about it, I decided to come down here behind the fireplace and just open it up right here. I've got this brickwork pretty much where I need it, and you can see where I opened it up at that level right there. You can actually see right through up to the tarp now. So I've got it open in 2 spots, and now I'll be able to grind the rest of the brick from here. See, the dampers right, or the top of the fireplace is right here. And you know, one of the reasons why I was doing this is I was thinking, you know, I had to get the damper in here anyway, because we're trying to retrofit some dampers. So I had Landon cut out this cardboard template of what the damper is going to look like, and now I can just take a peek in here and see and start to plan, you know, how this thing's going to go. It's going to go up here somewhere, and so I'll have to do some brickwork to get it to start tapering in. This damper's a little smaller than the opening, and although, you know, I ordered them off of the Rumford website, and it says this size damper is supposed to fit this width of a fireplace, so I'll just make it work. I don't know if the bigger one, if a bigger damper would actually fit in here. It might be too big, so I think I'll be able to work with this one, and they'll have a nice gasketed damper when we're done. This piece of steel, I don't know what that's for. That is a hammer forge strap for something. I don't know if it's just holding the front wall into the back here. You can see where it was hammer forged. Well, you know, like it's like they welded 2 pieces together right there by hammer forging them. Let's some holes in the side of it. I don't know if that's just to try to add structure to that front wall. I'm not sure. But anyhow, yeah, I'm gonna grind the rest of that out now, and my cup wheel's almost gone. I'm just chewing through it. We're doing a lot of grinding here, so I might have to get a new cup wheel pretty soon. Here's a look at what's going on in here. So this is just above the fireplace, and I've got it all ground out now. I've almost got it all. I gotta go back up and do a little more from above here that I can't reach from this spot. But it's fairly, some of it's just gonna stay black, and there's nothing I can do about it, but I actually have some decent brickwork to bond to now, so so that's that. And then this is inside the main fireplace with the beehive oven. If you remember back, this is where that metal thimble was. So you can see the damper. And then I've got all this ground out. And then this is where the divider wall for the beehive is going to go. And I'm going to clean that up a bit more and start my divider wall right there. I'll build it up a little ways. So that's done. And now I'm going to have to get back up to this spot here and just finish a little grinding, like right in this area. And then I'm going to go up to the top inside the attic and do a little more grinding on this flue there. And then I'll be ready to actually start doing some real work on this thing, to actually start you know, fixing this darn thing. You know, a lot of this is just preparation, and you know, this prep work it's taken a while, but it's important to get something decent to bond to in here. What the heck? Where'd you go? Hey! Oh. Is everything alright?
Yeah. Everything's alright.
You can go to that side and stand up.
Yep.
Just watch your back on that piece of wood beam. What in the world am I looking at? This thing's getting ready to attack me. Don't do it, bud. Don't do it. I'm in this Apex room again, and I'm just working on getting this downstairs fireplace damper in. So this area is the flue. We've busted out the back of this wall for the Apex room to be able to get access to put this damper in. And you can see that I've just got it roughly sitting in place here, and there's holes on both sides because this is just a big opening in here. So, it's never had a damper in it, so this is just a retrofit. This is a Rumford style damper, so they tend to be a little smaller than a conventional damper. I just drilled in some tap cons, one on either side, and I busted this shelf back a little bit for it to sit on here. And so you can, when I open it up, that's about how it's gonna look. It's not working perfect because of the angle. You can see my handles hitting the back of the firebox wall there, but it is opening all the way. I had to break the edges off these bricks to give it a little bit more room. And so now I am getting ready to I'm gonna build some brickwork up in this corner here to fill it in a bit more, and then I might put something in that corner too. And I'm gonna start getting ready to coat this with my my smoke chamber mix. And the smoke chamber mix will coat it so from the bottom will come up, and it will smooth taper to the shape of this damper, and it will actually hold this damper. In place. And so I'm not going to be relying on these tap cons. We'll have a nice shelf inside of there. And I'm not going to do anything to wrap this in insulation or anything. That smoke chamber mix it's a high temperature mix. It's a lightweight mix, so that stuff's made to be able to expand and contract. So I'm not going to be worried about the cracking like I typically would when I build the fireplace. So that mix will go right up to this damper, and then on top of it, it will start, right on the back edge of this damper, basically. So we'll be holding this damper completely in place with that smoke chamber mix. And another thing to consider when you're doing this is how much space you have. I have to think about, okay, well, this damper is going to have to come off when it needs to be serviced. So it wants to be over next to that wall to be centered in the fireplace, but I can't do that because this damper actually slides this way to come out and off, and I have to leave enough room even after I get my smoke chamber mix on there to be able to slide this and remove this damper plate to be able to clean the chimney. So that's where I am on this one, and it's just a lot of planning. We're getting ready to work, and it's really slow going. This chimney is basically one giant smoke chamber. So that's what I'm gonna do, is treat it like a smoke chamber. Obviously I've ground a lot more of the face of the brick off and cleaned it up a lot better than most people would do on a smoke chamber, because I really want this stuff to adhere. And granted, that smoke chamber mix is designed to be able to bond to like dirty brick better than mortar would. It's always, when you're purging smoke chambers, they're always nasty, and that stuff still works. So I'm looking for a good bond, so I ground everything off to clean it up as best I could. This is what I'm going to be using on the smoke chambers on the interior of the chimney. This is the Prior Fire Formula 51. It's a high temperature smoke chamber mix, and this one is the best one I've used so far as the application. And then also I saw a nice video of this showing its resistance to freeze thaw, that compared to the other top brands, this one did a lot better. You can see this whole bucket only weighs 30 pounds. It's pretty lightweight stuff. And so the cool thing about this is now, keep in mind this is for smoke chambers, right? So 4-inch nominal thickness, so basically 4 inches of brick. with 1-inch minimum thickness of this stuff gets me 0 clearance. So there could be wood on the other side, and they're saying that this is got a high enough rating to resist, any kind of heat, enough heat getting through the material to be able to combust. So it says, this meets or exceeds all national local building codes for new construction and repairs, right? So this still doing the chimney this way, this is designed for smoke chambers. It's not meant to be a lining system for a whole chimney, so it's not tested and listed by Underwriters Laboratories to do what I'm doing with it. This is just going to be my own creative way of solving this problem with this old fireplace. I can't come in here and just put stainless liners in and get all these fireplaces up and running again. So I'm trying to come up with a creative way to solve this problem with this old fireplace. In an old fireplace, it's built in the 1780s. We're not going to get that to conform to today's standards. And people will tell you have to or whatever, but I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to come bastardize this fireplace. It's a historical fireplace, and I'm going to do what I can to preserve it and look historical on the outside, but maybe be functional on the inside. And so I'm not building this to local building codes. It's not going to meet standards. So the homeowners are well aware of that. We've come to this agreement where I'm going to do this, and they are taking the risk, essentially, doing it this way. But I've explained to them exactly how I'm going to do it. I think it's a good way to do it. I think it might be one of the better ways that I've approached a fireplace like this. So this is it's the first time I've done it, and but they're willing to take the risk, and me saying that this is not a functional fireplace, and they can do what they want with it after I leave. So, we're trying to solve these problems with this chimney, and it's really hard to do it all in the old way. So to be more practical about it, all the inside divider walls that I'm going to be building back, I'm going to be building back with these solid 4-inch block. These are concrete block. Obviously they wouldn't have done it like this historically, but none of this is going to be seen. It's all just going to be for divider walls. All this block work will get parged up with that prior fire mix, or the Formula 51 mix. And I'm going to be laying this with a modern mortar, so just a type N mortar. And one of the reasons why I have to do that is because as I go and I build this up, I'm going to be laying block work in there, and I'm going to lay one side, and then I have to be able to stand on this after on the other side. So I'll probably put a little plank across, and then I'll build the other side. So I'm going to be standing on top of my work. And if I'm going to be using the lime mortar, I wouldn't be able to do that because it just doesn't set up. It's not a hydraulic mortar, so it's not going to set up like that. It would take days and weeks to set up to be able to be strong enough for me to work on top of it. So I'm using the spec mix, premix. I've been using that since I started using it last year a little bit, and I actually really like this stuff. So there's no thinking in it. Landon can just grab a bag and add water to it and mix, and it comes out pretty consistent. So yeah, it's hard to solve these problems with just using old techniques. But everything on the outside, everything downstairs on the fireplaces that we're working on that's exposed, we'll be doing with old brick and old mortar. So we've taken styrofoam off and now cleaned all this stuff up since we did all the demo, and now we can get our look up here and see what's going on in here. Now you can see straight up into my shelter up there. And now also for the first time we're actually getting to look up into the beehive oven flue. Not a lot to see, but there was a lot of debris in here that we had to clean out. Something cool is the homeowner has all this old lath exposed. This is wood lath that would have been plastered over. It's kind of cool to look at, actually. It's not like straight slats like you'd think you'd see. It's all kind of wavy like, and looks like they just took, boards and just split them and nailed them up as they split them. I mean, that's all from one board that was split and then nailed like that. It's pretty cool. I'm just getting ready to start putting in some brick next to this damper, but I'm going to go do it from the top side. Just wanted to show you before I start what this kind of looks like in here. I've just got it rested on the tap cons here, and you can see all the space beside it, and that's where I'm going to be building up that brick. And this side, I got to do something with this side as well. I might be able to do most of this work on this side with that Formula 51 mix. And this is how the damper's looking in here right now, the damper handle, sorry. It's kind of kicked out a bit, and it's hitting off this brick right there. So I got to kind of troubleshoot that to see how I can get that to work a little bit better. I mean, it works, but I don't really want it hitting off that brick. It's because this wall right here, the front wall steps back so steep that the damper's set back more than a typical Rumford. And also, this wall here is kicking forward. You probably can't see it, but sorry, the lighting is so bad in here. Now, this wall kicks forward, okay, towards the room. And a typical Rumford doesn't do that. Rumfords are always perfectly straight up in the back. So, yeah, we might have to do something with this handle to, make it work a little bit better. So I've been working on this damper and smoke chamber here, and I'm just going to give you a peek at what it's looking like. I got the damper in, and it's pretty tight in here. I've got it built up under it, and let me see if I can zoom for you. So it's still pretty wet, if you can see. So it's kind of a waiting game now. I gotta wait for this to set up, and then I can finish it off. So you just get it on here. It's really sticky, so it wants to drag a lot, and it's kind of hard to keep clean. But you can maybe hear it stick when I undo the door. The door is like, you hear it stick to it. So I don't have a lot of room, so that door is just going to be, when it's finished, it'll be like almost up to that. It won't be stuck in it, I'll have the handle on it. The handle actually won't let it go all the way against the back wall. And I've got enough room for it to slide over there, as long as I don't let the buildup come out on me. Oh, actually, so I'm already slid open, so that's where I gotta be. So I gotta keep checking and make sure I don't get that damper jammed in there. But yeah, this is what it's looking like, and it's just kind of messy and crude right now, and I'm gonna wait for it to set up. Down there's already been setting up, so I'm gonna go work on that right now to smooth that all out. And the way I'm gonna smooth that out is just a bucket of water. Like I use water and one of these stucco sponges, and just like a yellow tile sponge. So I'll use, between my trowel and the sponge, and I'll be able to get it pretty smooth. So I've got it all sponged up now, and I am going to leave it to set up. There's a lot of mix in here, and the more I mess with it, the more it wants to sag around, so I don't really want it sagging down or anything. So I've got everything all sponged up, and I'm going to leave it for tomorrow, and if there's any touch up I got to do tomorrow, I'll touch it up. As far as up here, I have to do all this brickwork anyway, so really isn't a big deal because I'm actually going to bring my mix all the way back down again anyway. So yeah, it's just how it goes. I got 3 buckets on here and I've just got to let it set up now. It's just, there's too much.